All right.
Here he is. Let's welcome Link Ray. He is. Let's welcome Link Ray.
Instrumental ever to be banned from the radio, called Rumble. And it's about time to rumble. Autism Speaks. All right, let's see what we got to look at today. Now, what I found was very interesting was actually on the Autism Speaks website itself. Yes, there's been very, very helpful for content for me. Thank you, Autism Speaks. All right, here we go.
We wanted help,
so this
but
is
we
our
just
newest video, and this is I just could not believe when I saw it. So this is what Autism Speaks is putting out right now. And my comment didn't go through. What's going on?
Tyler was actually on track until around the age of 16 months. Then around 16 months, we noticed a significant pause and even a regression. By March of 2003, so Tyler was then 2 years old, we were able to have the appointment, get the evaluation, and receive a formal diagnosis of autism. My husband and I, we went through a period of grief, grieving what was not, what could have been, what should have been.
So did you catch that? What could have been, what should have been. That's what they're talking about right here.
Then I kind of needed to tuck that away because Tyler needed us to focus on what he needed. But we maintained hope, and we made a commitment to ourselves and to Tyler that we would never give up.
It's such a struggle. We'll never give up.
Years into Tyler's diagnosis, I was able to...
We'll never go hungry again.
Refer to the Autism Speaks website. The website has always been a go-to on our quest for...
So the problem is right here.
Then I kind of needed to tuck that away because Tyler needed us to focus on...
Come on, Mom, where are we talking?
Autism.
Here we go.
My husband and I, we went through a period of grief, grieving what was not, what could have been, what should have been.
What was not, what could have been, what should have been. This boy was not their dream child. They did not want this kid, evidently.
Then I kind of needed to tuck that away because Tyler needed us to focus on what he needed. But we maintained...
Autism Speaks just put this video out. This is not my ableism. This is theirs. Okay? This is 10 hours ago. Check it out. This is crazy.
What was not, what could have been, what should have been.
Yes. We're going to
By
go back
March
to
of
where,
2003, so Tyler was then 2 years old, we were able to have the appointment, get the evaluation, and receive a formal diagnosis of autism.
okay.
My husband and I, we went through a period of grief.
Of grief?
Grieving what was not, what could have been, what should have been.
What could have been and what should have been. This is Autism Speaks right now. This is Autism Speaks 10 hours ago. This is still the ableist kind of stuff that they are putting out on their website. Well, this is actually technically their YouTube channel. So let's see what else she has to say.
Then I kind of needed to tuck that away because Tyler needed us to focus on what he needed. But we maintained hope, and we made a commitment to
We maintained hope.
ourselves and to Tyler that we would never give up.
We'll never give up.
A few years into Tyler's diagnosis, I was able to refer to the Autism Speaks website.
Okay, it always goes back to Autism Speaks. Always, 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 always goes back to Autism Speaks.
The website has always been a go-to
And if I remember
on
right,
our
they're gonna
quest
put up
for
the
accurate
post there
information,
pretty soon.
identification of resources, accessing resources, staying abreast and aware of current policies and research.
They love their research. They love their research.
You pack your workout clothes?
Yes,
Okay.
And then what after that?
I'm going to have lunch with Emily, Chess, Noah.
Because we knew that early intervention is key, we were very proactive. As we learned about him, we would see, so kind of beneath those behaviors, right? We saw just
Throws down the behaviors thing. He's just acting out because he's autistic. It's just behaviors.
a beautiful child, right? A child with so many strengths,
Hey, Mark,
so many
what's up?
amazing characteristics.
What is the goal of this video? Thriving with autism. Meet Tyler. Okay, we'll start from the beginning here. I don't know. Diagnosed with autism at 2, Tyler is no stranger to smiling in the face of adversity and proving doubters wrong. The 23-year-old says his biggest challenge. I love this third-person stuff. With autism, has been learning how to, because it's a disease. He's with autism, like with cancer. Clearly communicate with others, and understanding the various social situations that can arise in everyday life. Holy hell, that was a long ass sentence. Be strong. But with the strong support system around him, including mom, Tanya, Tyler is doing more than just succeeding. He's thriving. So this is just basically give Autism Speaks money, I think, is what it is. Essentially, that's what it all is. It always rolls back to Autism Speaks. No, that is not correct. Okay, okay. A person with autism can be amazing. No, we are amazing. Screw that bullshit. No, that's ableist. We are amazing. When you think amazing, you better think autism. That's what I'm thinking.
Tyler was actually on track until about around the age of 16 months.
See how this is framed? He was on track until about 16 months, and then that feller, he turned artistic.
Then around 16 months, we noticed a significant pause and even a regression. By March of 2003, so Tyler was then 2 years old, we were able to have the appointment, get the evaluation, and receive a formal diagnosis of autism.
This is where it gets really scary.
My husband and I, we went through a period of grief. Grieving what was not, what could have been, what should have been.
What was not, what could have been, what should have been. I got this defective little brat here that I gotta deal with that has behaviors.
then I kind of needed to tuck that away because Tyler needed us
At least I'm not overly dramatic.
to
Actually, yes. Yes, it is. It always goes back to Autism Speaks. If you think about it, if you look at these videos, they never qualify the autistic person as being capable of really anything. Certainly not being authority of their own needs and concerns. And they will speak instead, and they always go to the family and so forth. Now, this is a lot better than most of them I've seen, but that's still ableist as hell. What my kid should have been, could have been. That's horrible. That's a horrible thing to say.
focus on what he needed. But we maintained hope, and we made a commitment to ourselves and to Tyler.
But we maintained hope, and that's what brought us through. And Jesus and ABA. Jesus gave us ABA.
That we would never give up.
And ABA is the real God here.
A few years into Tyler's diagnosis, I was able to refer to the Autism Speaks website. The website has always been a go-to on our quest for accurate information.
See? And they literally say it, and they're literally framing it that way here, that Autism Speaks is the go-to place. Actually, if you go on that, I've got a challenge. Come up with any need that you might have as an autistic person, just random need. I don't know, whatever it is, and go to their website and try to find a resource concerning that need, and then just Google it and see how that works out. That the reason they have a search engine there is so that if someone emails them with the question, they can just say, "See our website." And there's a small little, like an early 80s style, or not early 80s, late 80s maybe, style web pages there in some places. And basically what it is they can say they fulfilled that ticket. They answered that email. And they successfully sent an autistic person into resources. It does not matter if there's actually resources they can use, or if it's a blank page or not. They sent them to resources. And that's how the game's played.
Identification of resources, accessing resources, staying abreast and aware of current policies and research.
Did you pack your workout clothes?
Yes,
And then what after that?
I'm going to have lunch with Enriquez, Noah.
Because we knew that early intervention is key, we were very proactive. As we learned about him, we would see so kind of beneath those behaviors, right? We saw just a beautiful child, right? A child with so many
We
strengths.
saw beneath those behaviors, he was just acting out. He was just being a monster. But we saw beyond him just acting out like a monster. We knew there was a kid inside there.
So many amazing characteristics. Fast forward to now, because of the supports that have
Well, they don't really. See, the thing is there's millions and millions of dollars still going to research, which is the last thing that's pretty much the money that's going out of Autism Speaks. It is all going to research. And you can see that right here. Right about here. Yep. I'm getting good at this. Okay, so here's $100,000 going to Baylor College of Medicine science grant. $68,000 science grant. $114,000 Children's Healthcare Atlanta science grant. Children's Hospital Corporation, $130,000. It goes down the list. There is all these are science grants for, like, 64,000, 96, 131, 45, 132, a $250,000 right there, 172,000. So most of this money right here is actually going out, is still going out to science. And the thing is that's the last place that they should be putting their money, particularly this organization, because they will never, ever, ever be trusted. They will never be trusted because traditionally they have wanted to commit genocide. They have wanted to eradicate autism from the planet, which is a brain type. Some people have blonde hair, some people have autistic brains, you know. And to say you just want to get rid of redheads, that's by definition genocide. If you get rid of their DNA, make sure that they can't ever have kids. Nobody's ever gonna. That's genocide. Literally. So yeah, that's it. That's that. So, but yeah, they're. It's really ableist. It's just.
Fast forward to
It
now.
gets a little bit better, I think, throughout this part here. It just kind of, but it's still the parent. It's not him speaking for himself. It's not coming from the autistic person's point of view. And this is, oh, poor parent.
Because of the support
Oh, by the way, I am an autistic parent.
supports that have been in place, what he's been able to access, he is able to comprehend things that he historically hasn't been able to.
And see, the thing is it's Mark, it's just like, this is such a cult. It's just like, you know how it's always God? I don't know, therefore God, and so what they say, and this is what bothers me, is if the child improves from 4 to 10, they're like, oh, and the autistic ABA helped them out so much. I don't know what I would have done without it. And it's like, yeah, my kid didn't speak, or he was in a diaper almost until he went to school. I am not kidding. I finally looked down and like, dude, you're going to be the only one in school with a diaper on. Stopped using a diaper. The thing is this. My son's autistic. Well, he was autistic. He grew. And people age. And as people mature and age and learn, they pick up skills. So you can't always attribute every single win to ABA or Autism Speaks. But they definitely do. It's the same thing, just like Christians do. You know what does early intervention mean? It means getting them an ABA as quickly as possible right now. But what they used to mean by that, what they technically mean is they want to do testing so that parents can basically figure out if they want to have a. I'm on TikTok. I don't know if I can say the word. A broken pregnancy. A broken pregnancy, or get a shot or whatever and have the DNA change our brains to something that isn't autistic. That's pretty much what it is. But now, basically what they're saying, oh yeah. Well, this is the problem. I think okay. They're never going to be trusted as long as they give the research. Period. End of story. I can't use a comparison because I'm on TikTok. There are people in the United States that like to wear sheets. Well, let's just say that they said that they were going to speak for those people that they were against, and that they were the only source of information. And they told those people that they were against, that they were the source. But it was all better now. That was just the 60s. Okay? That's exactly what Autism Speaks is doing.
People with autism can go to college. I had a great experience living in the dorm, and I met so many new people, and I learned so many new things.
Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, the speech impediment itself is not autism. Okay? However, like I stutter. This fella's got some kind of speech impediment. I don't know what. It's not uncommon. So you can see it with autism, but it doesn't have anything to do with really any kind of cognitive disability. It's just the brain not getting the words out very well.
I'm doing good. Are you having a good day?
Yeah.
What's up, dude? Hey, how are you?
Being accepted into college and then obtaining his job. We, and shame on us, but we couldn't imagine at the time.
She said that. You're damn right, shame on you, lady.
We, and shame on us, but we couldn't imagine at the time.
Why not? Why did you not have faith in your kid? I never had any doubts that my kid could do whatever they wanted to. Ever.
The structure of the Succeed program and the UMSL.
I don't know. I just don't believe putting limits on your kids like that. And it doesn't matter. I don't know.
Community together.
If you've got the attitude that your kid can't, and they're looking to you, then that sucks. If you've got the attitude that they can do what they want to, and no matter what, even if it's getting help to get that accomplished, then cool. Teach them that.
Provided him an amazing experience. Having to, with support, go through the application process, the interview process, and then onboarding and orientation has been huge.
The Succeed program is a program for...
And see, now we're going to another authority, the director of the Office of Inclusive Post-Secondary Education. We've forgotten about the autistic person.
Students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Tyler, at the beginning...
They're talking about him. And this is not about him anyway. As this gets wrapped up, it's probably going to end up all being about Autism
versus
Speaks
Tyler graduating.
blah, blah, blah.
The growth has been remarkable. He really has taken the initiative on what he wants to do with his life and his career. He has created a group of friends that will be his friends for a very long time. What we want to see is students like Tyler really advocate for
what we want to see in students like Tyler is about their needs. He just said it. It's what we want to see. It says is, but in students like Tyler, I'm just saying, this sentence is about the dude's needs, not Tyler's needs. And the facility's needs. I didn't say it. It's right there.
What they need, whether it's on campus or in the workplace, advocate for that, and then grow in advocating for the supports that they need.
Adi, how are you? Not much, how are you? I'm doing great. I work at the Way Christian Awareness
Man, he sounds like a speak and spell.
Center.
Why does he sound like a speak and spell to me? I've never heard anybody really talk like that. His voice is very robotic. I'm not making fun of him. I'm just wondering. That's very interesting. He doesn't have like a little, whatchamacallit. That's his voice.
I'm a guest services attendant. I work on the computer to check out equipment. I like working with a lot of people. Hey Anthony, how are you? Are you having a good day? Anthony, do you need a towel?
He took a whole series of sport management classes, and so being able to apply what he learned in the classroom, so this has given him a strong foundation.
Being Tyler's manager is actually a blessing, and I say that as...
Now we go to a third. See how ableist this is? How this is not about him?
He's
That's the problem. It's about. They're speaking instead of him. About his
perfect
needs.
employee. He shows up every single time that he needs to. He's on time. I think it's amazing to see someone that truly is happy with life. And I've never
that sentence kind of gets me to see someone who's truly happy with life. Yeah, but do you know what his life looks like at home? I mean, maybe he is happy all the time, but he may be just masking and not showing you how much he really is struggling, and that's probably the case.
never met anybody like that. Tyler's impact on the student body here has been noticeable without a doubt. I think it also has given a lot of these students awareness of like, hey, it's really important to be inclusive no matter what. People just need to understand
He gets to be an awareness poster.
that everybody comes in so many different shapes and sizes and abilities, and Tyler will exceed your expectations.
Of course he will. You got a good shot. When you're setting your expectations that low, Jesus, of course he will.
Good game. Hey, great shot, Tyler. Have fun. Okay.
While there has been tremendous improvement with autism, right? Innovation, research, services, we also know that there remains a gap. We want people to see, learn, understand that, again, if someone is given an appropriate level of support consistently, that they can succeed and that they can thrive.
See, this all sounds so great, but the thing is it's they. It's not inclusive. This whole thing's supposed to have been about him, and that's it is. It is about. It hasn't included him except to show him every once in a while.
Autism Speaks was able to inform and expand our knowledge on autism and how to navigate that advocacy space for Tyler.
See, it's all autism. It's all God. It's always God.
Exposed him to all of these things and given him all of these resources. Well, let him use those resources. Step back a little bit, right?
And I challenge you. I challenge you to try to find resources on Autism Speaks, and then just go to Google. See which one gets you where you get further. Just saying.
We won't be here all the time. Just really grateful for the opportunity we were chosen to be as parents, that I was chosen to be his mom.
Now I have a nice white page. Nice white page because, you know, we're Autism Speaks and we don't realize that bright white pages hurt our eyes. So that was the latest, greatest from Autism Speaks, now 11 hours ago. What do you think of that? I just think that opening out with that ableism, that is really bad. Starting out with this
Never give up. Appointment, get the evaluation, and receive a formal
right here.
diagnosis of autism. My husband and I, we went through a period of grief, grieving what was not, what could have been, what should have been.
grieving what was not, what could have been, what should have been. That's what she's saying about her child. They still don't get it after all this time, Mark. What is up with that? I don't understand this. This is just 11 hours ago. They still don't understand? I thought they were listening. I know they listen to me. I've even got banners to thank them. Look at this. Thank you, Autism Speaks, my most favorite viewer. Come on. Look at that. All right, so I really don't know where to go. Is there anything that you guys are particularly interested in? I know on the website there was what was it that I found yesterday that was so crazy? Boy, I made a TikTok about it. It's amazing when I go through this site, all the things I find on it. We are dedicated to creating an inclusive world for all individuals with autism, because it's a disease with autism, throughout their lifespan. That's just weird too that they put that. I don't know. We're dedicated to creating an inclusive world for all individuals with cancer throughout their lifespan. See, that's so weird too. No, why? I don't know. It's just weird. Maybe they're trying to say they're trying to include adults now. They're really not, but I mean, autism by the numbers. What is that? Oh boy. So finding information you need to. Okay, this is going to go back to Autism Speaks one way or another. I guarantee it. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Finding the information you may need to make informed decisions about your family future can be difficult. The landscape services supports of people with autism, with that disease autism, varies state by state, with some states providing better access than others. Local autism laws, policies also vary by state. And you know the next sentence is going to be talk to your local actually autistic community. Get on Facebook. Talk to the actually autistic community, because they are the best resource of what is happening in your area. That's what they're going to say, right? I agree with you too, Mark, on that too. Some people are a little bit critical of Temple, because she says basically get out there and try to work and stuff. And I believe that's if we keep our heads in a hole all our lives, and our heads are going to be in a hole all our lives, we're not going to experience anything. I would rather my son who passed have been passed at 22 and experienced life like he did, than for him to stay at home and not experience life at all. So, as I was saying, what they're going to do is recommend the autistic community, right? Knowing what support is available for people with that disease, autism, in your area can make a world of difference. So get a hold of the autistic community. Oh, no, they didn't say that. But often this information is scattered online databases and reports that can be hard to find and understand for the average person. So go to the actually autistic community and ask them. That's the first place you should go no matter what. Before you go to the doctor, before you go to ABA, before you do anything, go to the autistic community. First thing, before the doctor. If you even suspect you're autistic, go to the autistic community. We will help. No matter what your situation is, whether you think you are or might be, or maybe not, maybe could, it's okay. It's cool. Go to the autistic community. We'll help you out. Guaranteed. To get the full picture of how well states across the U.S. are serving autistic people, Autism Speaks created Autism by the Numbers in collaboration with the National Autism Data Center at Drexel University. And oh, you little dirty dogs. So you think it was going to go to that, but nope. They're talking about this thing, and then you thought that was going to be the link that goes to it. Nope. Find services in your state. Oh, this is that really horrible what is going on here? This is what you get. Not much. Nothing that's really going to help you. And that's our services. They're taking you to a different site. So that's how they get away with that. Wow. That was pretty impressive. I was really impressed with that. Holy heck. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Twitter. Autism Speaks Twitter. That's interesting. Okay. Today, in honor of Giving Tuesday, a generous donor is matching all Yeah, they make that shit up. A generous donor is matching donations made to. Really, they make that crap up. And tripling them. Help us spread. You know what? And then they were going to say, oh, well, they wanted their name to not be. They didn't want their name to. They're being modest. Yeah. That's just business BS. They will never ever say who this person was because it's not real. It's just a sales technique to do this, to make other people feel guilty, Or, ooh, wow, if I give $1, then it will be $5 or $4. Yeah, whatever, okay. Empire State Building. Oh, they made it blue? No, that doesn't look like a spectrum. Maybe it's because it's bad. God, the Empire State Building is really old. I don't think I'd want to get in that thing. How old is it? Made in the, 1800s? Early 1900s? Thing's old. Okay, let's see. Kudos to Charles for sticking up for Tony, his family, and autistic individuals. Trend that's been finding ways to support others with. I haven't heard about this Charles Barkley thing, but this is so sad. So now Autism Speaks is trying to jump on this Charles Barkley thing. See, they always want to be. It always goes back to Autism Speaks. Not autistic people, but Autism Speaks. That's the problem here. Look at this. Let's see what this is. I don't even know how to do this.
Autism Speaks, just trying to give awareness to autism. It's home, got my daughter's name. I think it's on this shoe, right? My daughter's name on it, my Nora, right? So just trying to give awareness as we went through that journey with her, when she was probably 3 or 4 years old.
And see, this is a guy that doesn't know what's going on. He's just he's an autism mom, essentially. He's neurotypical. He just wants to do, help and do the right thing. His kid had autism, so he thinks Autism Speaks. Because you keep on hearing that Autism Speaks. People conflate that with qualifying that or as being legitimate. And it does not legitimize anything, but it does in our minds.
So we were having a hard time even getting any kind of help. Kind of knew something was up, and we eventually found out it's even more difficult for.
You have a hard time getting help because Autism Speaks takes $39 million a year, and poof, it disappears, and only $400,000 is left to go to actually autistic families. Well, a little bit over that.
People diagnose young girls, so boys kind of get the help more than girls do for whatever reason.
Because it's misogynistic and was based on boys, and it's the doctors for years and years and years were taught that it was a boy's disease, and that is a myth that has been perpetuated and will be perpetuated probably for another 20 years.
Fortunately, we had our neighbor up north there was a pediatrician and got us hooked up with the right people. So by the time we she got to 4 or 5 years old, we got her
And then the right people's going to be ABA. Got her the treatment she needed.
the right kind of help that she was, and now she's doing great. And
See, now we're attributing it to God again. Well, they don't do much, and that's the thing. That's the thing. And when they're giving millions of... I love you. Oh. So, yeah, they're getting millions and millions of dollars in bonuses. They get more in bonuses than autistic people actually get.
doing really well, and living in this area is really.
And that's why I keep on telling and saying I want to talk to Autism Speaks. I want to talk to them. I want to see what's going on, you know. I want to ask them these questions and so forth. And like, why is it that you give out more in bonuses than you actually give to autistic people? Is that what you really, how you really think that this money should be handled? Really?
Really cool how a lot more resources, right? So the schools have more resources. She's in a special theater, special gifts theater. She's last year she was, it's Elsa and Frozen. This year she's Nala in The Lion King. So like all that good stuff. So just something that's important to our family, and happy to be able to help and give a little bit of exposure to that. So
yeah, he was just trying to do the right thing, and unfortunately promoting the wrong thing. Let's see. That has not ever been a focus of our organization. Let's see. In fact, many years ago, we stopped referencing cure in all our language, but they still have their website framed as it's a disease. Please see here from our CEO if he hasn't, and this is going to, well, we can go to that, but not actively. Remember that while Autism Speaks is problematic, many of their ideas have changed as more and more research and acceptance of autism have come to light. They are not funding eugenics, and they are open about how they no longer support finding a cure. The thing is that they've been called out. The purpose was eugenics. The purpose was to eliminate, to kill, to destroy, to unlife autistic people. That was their purpose. And they didn't get away with it. So in order to continue as an organization, they had to retract. They had to back off of that. But that's the only thing that's happened. And they still fund all that research. And we just looked at that. All that research, which they should not be getting into at all right now. If autistic people wanted research, then Autism Speaks is the one organization that should not be doing it. But most of the money that they're siphoning away from autistic people that are not going to autistic people for services or whatever are going to all the science grants, and nobody's ever really going to know where this money went. Not for sure. Never going to have any idea. And no one's ever going to trust Autism Speaks. Not to try to fund early intervention and so forth. Early intervention is still the same thing. It still leads to eugenics. They need to stop all research funding, period. If the autistic people want it, then fine. We'll do it somewhere else. And you can take all those millions of dollars and pump that right back into the autistic community and stop with those bonuses. Get rid of them. The autistic people do not want you getting those bonuses of $250,000 each. Or more. $350,000 or $1,000 bonus. Unbelievable. Who to follow? Okay. I love all these white pages. All these white pages. They constantly up with these white pages. How would you go about getting... Well, Well, see here, like nonprofit. Okay, this is nonprofit explorer. This gives you their tax filings, and then um open secrets here. This tells you where the lobbying money is going and so forth. But it has to go through the IRS, and the IRS has to want them for some reason, and they're just not going to go after Autism Speaks. They're just not going to do it. And even if they did, I'm sure on the books, I'm pretty darn sure, I would be extremely surprised if they had sloppy books. I mean, because then people are going to jail. You don't want that. You just want to get rich. You don't want to go to jail. Because being rich in jail ain't fun. being rich in prison, I mean, I knew a millionaire in prison. Yeah, he told me it wasn't worth it. Just saying. That's what he told me. He said it wasn't worth it. Oh boy. All right, so we got that. We got this. Problems. Videos. I never have done it this way. Autism Speaks, our mission. Okay. Let's check this out. I'm gonna try to keep
At
quiet
Autism
here.
Speaks, we are working to create a world where all people with autism can reach their full potential. To achieve our mission of promoting solutions for every stage and level of need, we are guided by 5 objectives. One of the most powerful ways to foster understanding is through storytelling. We share stories that represent the diversity of the spectrum to more than 2.8 million followers. At Autism Speaks, we are working to create a world where all people with autism can reach their
ABA is based on children. Let me back up here. All right. All right, I'm going to go
Full
on with this.
potential. To achieve our mission of promoting solutions for every stage and level of need, we are guided by 5 objectives. One of the most powerful ways to foster understanding is
Yeah, I
through
saw that.
storytelling.
Thank you.
We share stories that represent the diversity of the spectrum to more than 2.8 million
That's Token and one of her boys right there.
followers. Nationwide Walks provides a network of friendship and vital support for our community.
No, what it does is it's a huge promotional event to give money to Autism Speaks.
Our funded research drives faster implementation of best practices for personalized care and treatments to
No, it doesn't. You show it. Show your work. Show your work.
improve quality of life. The Autism Care Network, a first-of-its-kind learning health system, is delivering high-quality autism care at scale and at speed.
They're acting like that act does something, and it doesn't. That's the one where they answer the emails and they say, go to the our website, and that's it, pretty much.
People who are
And then, like, it doesn't matter if there's actually resources or not.
concerned about their child's development.
What do you mean, noise?
We encourage parents and caregivers to spot the signs of autism early, and we work to ensure that support is there when they need it. Our bilingual public service campaign, in collaboration with the Ad Council, is helping to close the diagnosis gap. Nearly 400,000 families access the autism screening questionnaire through our website. We successfully advocated.
And see this through the website. Just go to Google, and it's a million times
for
easier.
autism insurance benefits covering 207 million Americans in all 50 states.
They're trying to take credit for insurance for 270 million Americans. Really?
We are committed to helping autistic people and their families navigate the journey from adolescence to adulthood. Our integrated employment
To adulthood. Why do you want to stop there?
system, Workplace Inclusion Now,
Thank you, William.
WIN, supports job seekers with autism, communities, and employers by building a positive workforce culture and improving meaningful employment opportunities. Employment conferences have already reached more than
And see, this is a sad thing. They're talking about this employment, and this is something that I really need to dig deeper into. Now, I understand that around the planet, that people's value is based basically on their productivity. How much meat they can bring home, how many vegetables they can, whatever, how much money they can bring home. And by the way, see this comments is turned off? Whenever you have a website or a charity or whatever, and they turn off the comments, that is a huge red flag. But so here, they're really Autism Speaks is huge. They're pushing right now. Keith Wargo, in particularly, the CEO, the president right now, he's really pushing. I just watched the thing where he went to Congress and spoke instead of us again. But they're pushing to try to get autistic people in the workplace and working employment and so forth, because that's what they value. Our value is based on our productivity in the workplace, rather than helping us bring to our own, come to our full potential, so that we can find employment where we can best fit it, where we best fit. Instead, this guy, Keith Wargo, is trying to go to manufacturers and stuff, and here, hire this autistic kid. No, why don't we help the autistic kid come to their full potential with college or whatever, and they can design those freaking plants.
than 4,000 employees and job seekers. Last year alone, we provided critical services, resources, and support to more than 1.5 million people. The autism response
like I said, If they get an email, all they have to do is say, see the Autism Speaks website. Boom. And they fulfilled that ticket, and they just helped one person. See how they can get they can run these numbers up like that real easy. You know, the people that were involved at the walks or whatever, they can throw those numbers in there and make those work somehow. You know, that they gave them services, or if they gave them a pamphlet, then they gave them information services, that kind of thing.
70,000 people with personalized bilingual guidance and referrals. Our Caregiver Skills Training Program empowers underserved parents to develop vital social and communication skills for.
But show your work. Show your work, Autism Speaks. That's the thing. That's why I want to talk to you. That's Keith, you know I want to talk to you.
For toddlers and young people on the spectrum.
Notice these white pages that Autism Speaks. This is an Autism Speaks thing, and everything's with white pages. They don't know. Oh, you're probably right too, Glenn. I hadn't even thought about that. But they are you saying that they don't have to pay disabled people regular pay?
Time of diagnosis through adult life.
I've never worked as a disabled person. I worked, but not as a disabled person, so there wasn't any programs or anything like that.
We are here to help with vital autism research, advocacy, services, and support. Autism Speaks efforts are grounded on clear evidence and based on the needs of our community.
They're doing very small things in name, but not really big things at all.
This is all with the goal to do the most good for the most people. We can't do it without you.
Like when they're talking about this ACT thing, this ACT thing, it's bullshit. It's, oops, let me go back. We'll go to ACT. Boom. Where is it? Now I can't even find it. Ha ha ha! This site is really deep. It's got a lot of crap on it, and I mean crap. It makes it to where it's very... There isn't really much to find on it that's useful, but it's hard to navigate just because it's so deep. Autism, art. That's what it is, not ACT. Art. So, like, let's see. I'm gonna pull this off to the side real quick. Come on. Okay, so this is their little chat thing, and I put my name in there. I've never had this work before. I need... Oh, nope, it just disappeared, see? And that's what it does. When you call this number, it says we'll be able to, we'll call you back, and they never have called me back. So on paper, and the thing is, it's a lot to have something on paper, so to speak. And they do, so they can say they've done this, that, or the other without really doing anything at all, which is just great. Let's see. I want to see if there's anything else on YouTube today. I mean, it's what, the 8th of April, so I want to see if there's anything new. We'll go for today, maybe. Okay, Ryan Kelly put out one, but I'm looking for Autism Speaks specifically. Boy, you put in today, and all it does is bring me up. Look at that! Wow, heck. Autism still. Oh, well, no. So I'm not getting much of anything new, unfortunately. I wonder what. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. What a bummer. Okay, so maybe we'll have something in the news, maybe? Let's see if we can find something in the news. Or find something this way. Nope. Really? We still got old stories here? Come on. I'll be darned. Well, that's kind of good to know. They're not getting a lot of press. Well, good. Let's go to their website or to their channel, and I'll just go over this. Let's go over what Keith Wargo was saying yesterday. I mean, a couple of days ago. He is the CEO. He is the one who
We wanted help, but we just didn't.
He's the one who
Welcome.
Here's an interview with him. He's the one who sent me the email concerning my son, which kind of set this off.
Welcome to the first ever episode of Just Another Autism podcast.
Now, this is Token. She is the token autistic person, the only autistic person that I know of that works at Autism Speaks. There's 216 employees, I understand. I could be wrong, but if you were to take a random sample of people from anywhere in the world, and if say you get 200 people, you're liable to get 2 autistic people. There's 216 people at Autism Speaks and only 1 autistic person working there. So if you took a random sample of people anywhere in the world, you were more likely to have more autistic people than Autism Speaks does. Just saying.
In this podcast, we take a deep dive into the lives of everyone who has a connection to autism. Autistic individuals, parents, caregiver, you name it. We want to.
But you won't include me. You won't include me. Why won't you? Why won't you interview me? Huh?
Hear all about what makes autistic
You'll see why they're not going to interview me.
people who they are. And today, I am so happy to be joined by Keith Wargo, who is the CEO of Autism Speaks.
No, I think 211 actually does receive this or do the services, though.
And also the father of a son on the autism spectrum.
I like that. That's really cool. The way
Welcome, Keith.
Thanks, Eileen. Good to be with you.
So for people who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe, and a little bit about your son, AJ, who's on the autism spectrum?
Sure. So I've been with Autism Speaks for almost 2.5 years now. I spent 30 years in the corporate sector, specifically in financial services. With my family and I, we live in New Jersey. AJ, my son, is 25. He's autistic. He was diagnosed at 3, right around his 3rd birthday. He was born in San Francisco, but we moved to New Jersey, and he was diagnosed shortly thereafter. He's doing really well. He recently moved out on his own. He has a part-time job, and everything's going really well.
What made you want to work at Autism Speaks? Like, why are you so passionate about the work we do here?
Well, the journey of this organization, in fact, kind of the journey of this community, there's a lot in common with our families.
Maybe it might be probably about $1 million that he brings home every year. That's not going to hurt. I'm just going to say, I don't think he's going to mention that, but it sure don't hurt nothing.
Our family's journey. Right? AJ was diagnosed a little over 20 years ago when autism was considered to be rare.
When he wrote me, he did mention his son.
When there was little known about autism. I often say at the time that when we started talking to family and friends, etc., nobody ever even heard of
They're not afraid to sit here and interview each other, but they won't interview me.
the word autism. And Ann and I struggled hard to find the right to find any resources, more information. It was really just
Howdy,
digging
Lynn.
in and working hard to find what we as a family needed and what we needed for our son. And we've come a long way since then. The journey of this organization, in fact, kind of the journey of this community, there's a lot in common with our family's journey. Right? AJ was diagnosed a little over 20 years ago, when autism was considered to be rare, when there was little known about autism. I often say at the time that when we started talking to family and friends, etc., nobody ever even heard of the word autism. And Ann and I struggled hard to find the right to find any resources, more information. It was really just digging in and.
Okay, so the problem here is this. This is Autism Speaks. This is an interview with Keith Wargo, the CEO, and this is all about him. Now, I realize this is an interview and it's interviewing him about his family, but it's always this way. He did this in Congress too. I just watched a thing where he did the same thing in Congress. It was always about him, always about Autism Speaks, never about autistic people.
Working hard to find what we as a family needed and what we needed for our son. And we've come a long way since then. And what I realized, I had finished my career at Wall Street. I'd retired in the middle of COVID. It had been a great run, and it was time to step aside. And what I realized was where we are today and where I think the organization, the community needs to go fit well in, number one, my personal journey, but secondly, what I'd done as a businessman, which was to take businesses from a certain point and kind of lead them forward to
Boy, he's
to the
really
future.
put me to
So
sleep.
it dovetailed really well with where I was in my life, and where I felt like the community and the organization needed to go.
And when you started working at Autism Speaks, were you aware of the controversies and misinformation and disinformation surrounding the organization?
Yeah, I'd say I became aware as I dug in and did my due diligence around the organization. I think I became more aware. I was not, it was not front of mind, but I certainly became aware from doing that diligence and reading up, et cetera. Sure, absolutely.
Was that scary for you as a business person to come into an organization with controversy?
No.
And the thing is this. The Shriners don't have controversy. The March of Dimes doesn't have controversy. Autism Speaks does. They have created that. And we'll go into more on that as we go.
I don't think so. I mean, throughout my career, throughout my life, right, I've always had to look at things and say, geez, there's a tough situation, there's a tough set of circumstances, and approach it in the context of, do you want to be part of making the change, or do you want to let things sit as they are, or, frankly, avoid them? The interesting thing is, like, if I make a comparison to financial services, what I did was advise clients at times when,
oh my God,
oftentimes it was exciting times.
This is so boring.
The company was going public, or they were raising money because things were going great. There was a fair share of that, but there was also companies that brought you in at times where they were in a crisis. They had difficult times. And so I had learned.
She's sitting across from him and going, "Dude, you are so boring." I got narcolepsy, and he literally is putting me to sleep.
And been able to advise and work with companies and CEOs, et cetera, on those types of situations. So no, I've never been one to kind of shy away from challenges. It's kind of what I enjoy, what gives me passion and energy.
And actually, last year during World Autism Month, you wrote a letter addressing some of the missteps from the past, even though you were not CEO at the time some of these missteps happened. What made you want to go public with this statement? Why is it important to you?
Genocide is never a misstep. Genocide is not an oopsie. Genocide is a big boo boo, a really big boo boo. Okay, it's not a whoa boo boo, a big boo boo.
Well, I thought it was critical. Firstly, this organization and this community has evolved tremendously over the last 20 plus years, right? Again, my own family being a perfect story of that, right? Well, like I said, 20 years ago, nobody who we nobody knew anybody who was autistic.
Got to be
Nobody
off
knew
camera for just a second
family
here.
member, neighbor,
But I'm here.
anybody. In fact, pretty much nobody who I knew had ever even heard of the term, the word autism. And so that's not where we are today. We've evolved as a society. We've evolved as an organization. And so, when you look back at some of the ways, some of the content that we created, some of the ways that the language that we used, it's not in line with where we are today. It's not in line with how we view the world today. It's not in line with anything we do as it relates to helping work with and create better lives for those in the community. So I thought it was important to acknowledge those missteps and the fact that we have moved
He's
beyond
talking
them.
about
I think
genocide,
it's
people.
important to recognize that for folks who feel like they were harmed by that was never our
That people that feel that they were harmed by that was never our intention. My kid's fucking dead.
intent, and that we regret it, and to look and say, we're here to listen to the community. We're here to try to address the community's needs in the best way that we can. We're not going to be perfect. Nobody is. But trying to really call for a unity and a sort of saying this, we're coming at this with our best intent. We'll always come at it with our best intent. We'll make mistakes.
No, they're there to make money. Okay, in this interview, this is Autism Speaks thing, and they're talking all about. You see how it always goes. It never centers really on the autistic people in the autistic voice at all.
But we'll always do it in the context of trying to make the community better and to help lives.
That is such a beautiful message. I'm so glad you said that. I mean, even as human beings, we're constantly evolving, right? I'm not the same person I was just a year ago. As a society,
right.
We are evolving. Like, that's human. If we didn't change, didn't learn, that would be bad. So it makes sense that there were things that were done in the past that we don't align with anymore. And who knows, maybe what we're doing now, we're not going to agree with a few years down the line. But as long as we're listening to the autistic community and the autism community, I think we'll be just fine, because those.
She is trying to reduce genocide down to people have different opinions.
People, they just want to feel heard, and we can take it from there. So thank you.
Yeah, and I think at the same time, it's important to acknowledge, to acknowledge the legitimacy of those feelings, and to, and that was part of part of what I said, and I continue to say is, I do acknowledge, we do acknowledge that those feelings, and we're hoping that folks will come along with us on the journey and evolve as we are.
Now, some of these things that happened in the past were true. And like we just talked about, we've acknowledged those missteps. But there is also a lot of misinformation and disinformation on social media. And these things are just not true. And I think it's really important that people
talking about
know
misinformation
the facts.
here.
And it's difficult to put the right information out there. So what would you like to say to people who don't have the right information about Autism Speaks? Like, how can we get them to listen to facts over social media misinformation and disinformation?
I mean, this is probably the thing that I'm most passionate about and candidly frustrates me the most. And yes, as it relates to our organization, but even
For simple reasons, I do not support Autism Speaks by Kayleen.
Projects, marketing, it's costing us a fortune.
Does it?
Why use multiple platforms when you can use Monday.com for all your business
video,
needs?
so we'll see
HR,
if this is a video
suppliers, finance. You can do it all from one place. Just choose from one of our templates and you're all set. Your free trial.
And so what I want to talk about a little bit, and I know this is taking a while, but I think it's really important and I think it's really timely, is how do we avoid it in the first place so that we don't have to claw our way out once we hit it. So the first thing we have to do in that way is we have to know what is real burnout for us, because it's going to be unique to every human. So I'm going to tell you, for me, real burnout.
I thought she was talking about Autism Speaks.
Is I don't get out of bed.
But
I stay
guess not.
in bed. That's my real burnout. The dense. That's not healthy for you.
I don't care. Not today.
Right? And there have been periods in my life where I
hate
stay
it when it does this.
in bed.
Okay, I'm just gonna get out of here. Okay, try this again. I don't understand, but maybe I haven't seen enough of their content to get a full grasp of the situation. I feel that normalizing autism through things like Autism Speaks or TikTok needs to stay. By denouncing them, aren't we just shooting ourselves in the foot by suppressing the change society needs to make? Thanks for the responses. Your opinions definitely help me understand more. Sorry if I was offended by the post. How they portray nowadays, or the work they currently do, I have no idea. Well, then I don't want to hear from you. Okay, well, I guess so. My impression of Autism Speaks is one made in the early 90s. It appears to focus less on the autistic visual and how they affect the people around them. That's true. They still do. They seem to frame autism as a terrible thing. That's true. That happened to a person. That is true. Rather than focus on the person. Yes, and it's still true to this day. All of this is still true to this day. Let's see. Okay, I remember it being very much those poor mothers whose kids don't hug them. Yeah, don't look them in the eyes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly what's going on here.
Autism memes about Autism Speaks. I mean...
Oh, how could we do any better than this? Thank you, Indiana.
Nothing could go wrong there.
And he had to have died right after he made this video. Not long after, anyway. From COVID, because this is about 3 years ago, so this is fairly recent for him.
Right?
Probably since...
Well, hello, indie people, and today... Autism memes about Autism Speaks. I mean, nothing could go wrong there, right? Well, hello, indie people, and today it's all about autism memes about Autism Speaks, which is a US-based company which has a bit of a bad reputation. But I wanted to show off some memes, talk about my own feelings about Autism Speaks, and just highlight some of the issues that people have with this organisation. First meme is all to do with giving to charities, this one. Now, I don't know what cartoon this is actually from. If you could let me know, that'd be great, because I mean, we've all got a lot of free time these days. But anyway, this one I think is quite funny because it just kind of highlights the kind of attitude I feel a lot of us in the autistic community have with Autism Speaks. Basically, when it comes to donating to autistic charities, a lot of people go for the larger organisations such as Autism Speaks. Though with Autism Speaks specifically, it's mainly research based. Wherever they get their funding from, it goes primarily into the research of autism rather than actually helping autistic people. And to be honest, that's not really ideal. You know, there's a lot of autistic people in the here and now that obviously need help, and we need to help them as much as we can. Obviously, I think research is important, but I don't think it should be as big of a priority as it is in regards to Autism Speaks. So this one, though a bit direct, I kind of like it because it kind of just is that thing that I really dislike of these big organizations, and you know, they're putting the money into a place which I don't think necessarily helps the people. With this meme, I'm gonna rate it 8 out of 10. I quite like it. It just says exactly what it says on the tin, to be honest. Can't go wrong with it, really. Next meme. I'm going, oh god, oh. There we go. Next meme is to do with Lighting It Up Blue, which is Autism Speaks' main campaign in April, which when I'm uploading this, it's April 2020. In previous years, Autism Speaks has taken the courtesy of lighting historical landmarks blue, such as the Eiffel Tower. That's the most recent one I can remember, but there's probably other places that have lit it up blue in the name of autism awareness and all of that jazzy stuff.
And the Empire State Building just did a rainbow for the spectrum, so at least we're doing a little better.
Lighting up buildings blue does such great work for helping the people. I think the other reason why autistic people just aren't really fond of lighting it up blue as well is because it's about autism awareness, which I did make a whole video on autism awareness versus autism acceptance. I'll link that down below. But autism awareness is kind of insufficient for some autistic people because it's about understanding autism as a condition rather than accepting autistic people and the actual people who are living with autism. So for this meme, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10, I think, because it's quite funny, but it's not as funny as the one before it, in my own personal opinion. Next meme, yeah. This one I found on Reddit, pretty funny. It is just a juicy meme. But to be honest, it got me thinking about autism charities in general, and you know, if a charity does something bad or, you know, obscene, and it got me thinking about Autism Speaks. Like, yes, they've done a lot of bad things in the past, such as, you know, looking at cures and, you know, research into autism and all of that stuff, and not actually helping autistic people, and also recommending ABA, which is a whole different subject on its own. But to be honest, looking into the history of Autism Speaks and looking at other people who have also talked about the history of Autism Speaks, it is pretty shady, some of the stuff when it comes to Autism Speaks. So it's no wonder that some people have this opinion of the company, sadly. And yes, I think companies are allowed to try and build a reputation back up again, but I think also it's kind of hard to do that when you have such negativity from the people that you're trying to help, really.
When your starting point is genocide and you're like, oh no, we want to represent that people. In World War II, there was a party of people that tried to exterminate another type of people. It would be like them saying, we represent these people now. We speak instead of these people because we know better. And for that party to be, you know, running those people's lives, it'd be ridiculous. Same thing with the people who wore white sheets in the United States that were not nice to certain people. It would be like them saying that we run their lives now and we're the source. It's the same thing. It's ridiculous, and it's unbelievable, just unbelievable.
For me, I'm going to give this meme a 9 out of 10. It was just really funny when I saw it and found it on Reddit, and that is what I'm going to go with. Booyah! But just say if you're enjoying the content so far, there's a link down below to a playlist full of these kinds of videos. And also, if you want to subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated. But anyway, the next meme is all to do with Autism Awareness Day, which is on the 2nd of April. Now, it's obviously past, but Autism Awareness Day is one of those things that has confused me in the past quite a lot as an autistic person. And when it comes to Autism Awareness Day, it is something that Autism Speaks heavily pushes. And to me, I think autism awareness does have its stereotypes, it does have its stigmas around it, which I can fully understand and I get. So to me, I think highlighting autism at a particular time of year, or just any time of the year, quite frankly, to, you know, give people the knowledge and understanding of what autism is for autistic people, I think is a good thing. However, autism awareness, I think, should really become autism acceptance over time. Now, to rate this meme, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. 2 points purely because of the cat, because I love cat. But yeah, it just raises a conversation for me personally. And yeah, it's just funny. That woman's face is just really funny, and it's just really... Now, next meme is all to do with Autism Speaks, speaking on behalf of autistic people. Now, this is quite a common thing within the community who, you know, is very much anti-Autism Speaks. Autism Speaks doesn't speak for me, that kind of rhetoric. Now, when it comes to major charities, autism-led charities such as Autism Speaks, they really do pave the way in terms of what happens, you know, on the ground as well as higher up. And to be perfectly honest, if it's not led by autistic people or has influence from the autistic community, you know, people who are autistic, then it's kind of meaningless. You know, I think it's always good getting, you know, an insight into what's actually impacting autistic people on the ground in the here and now, you know, and actually utilising what people are saying to actually come up with a reasonable strategy of how to progress forward. But when it comes to parent-led, mainly parent-led organisations such as Autism Speaks, which to my understanding doesn't have anyone who is autistic on their board of directors, which is just stupid to me. So to me, when it comes to charities, you know, relating to autism or governments looking into autism related bills, I think it really needs to come from autistic people, or at least giving autistic people the chance to actually say what they think on what you're trying to do. That's just how I personally think anyway. So for this meme, in rating it, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. Though it's not funny, I think it does raise a talking point, you know.
Okay, we got
time for a meme review. Well, hello into people, how are you guys doing? And today is that time again for some autism memes that I have found across the internet, and I'm bringing them to you. But if you are brand new to this channel, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell, because I do talk about autism on a weekly basis, and not just talk about autism memes, even though it is really fun. Okay, so first meme was picked out by one of you guys. Kaylee, if you're watching, thank you so much for picking out this meme for this video. And if you want to be involved with these videos, just tag me on social media, message me on social media. My social media links are in the description. But I love this meme so much because it's all to do with fight or flight. You know, that thing of we can say things that aren't socially appropriate sometimes, or sometimes we might get a little...
supposed to be...
I'm assuming you know what the Pikachu face is. It's a massive meme on the internet. If you don't know, well, there's the Pikachu face and there's the caption on the top. It's all to do with autistic adults, plates, and then you got Joe Blogs running down the street saying, "I must be boss." Who else struggles with auditory... Next meme. Speaks. Now,
here we go.
Let me know. And now for the last meme of the day, Autism Speaks. Now, I have talked about Autism Speaks on this channel, and it's one of the most popular videos on the channel, and I'm not surprised why, because it's Autism Speaks, they're quite controversial, and really because it's April when this is going out, I really wanted to have a meme that really represented the majority of autistic people's views when it comes to Autism Speaks. And there we go. So, you have a little goblin person loving the Advocacy Network, which is an American-based company, and then you have Knife It with Autism Speaks. People have asked me what my opinion of Autism Speaks is, and it's kind of weird for me because I'm British, so it doesn't really directly affect me that much, but I think that kind of just signifies how I feel about the whole thing. But if this is the first memes video that you've seen, there's a playlist up there and down below for more of these videos if you enjoyed it. But for now,
Okay, this is interesting. Oh, wow. Okay.
It's amazing how much hunting and fishing add to Colorado's economy. Over $3.2 billion.
Going on TikTok.
Clorox Toilet Wand is the all-in-one system that destroys tough stains, loaded with a powerful cleaning solution.
Hi and welcome back to PDA Dad UK. In this episode, we're going to be looking at a new mini documentary that's been put on YouTube by Autism Speaks. And we're going to have a look at that, and we're going to talk about it and the positives that are in there, but more overwhelmingly the negatives. So yeah, tune in, have a listen, and we'll explain why I have issues with this. So welcome back to PDA Dad UK. Before we go any further, can you just drop down, hit like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so that you know
I have
we've
no
got
idea
new
what's
content
going on.
coming up.
Okay.
There is lots of good stuff coming up.
No, that was
This
like
week.
super fast. That was sad. Horrors of Autism Speaks.
When you see a company or organization name in the title of one of my videos, you can probably take an educated guess that I'm...
Okay, I think I may have seen this before. I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to let it roll.
probably not going to be sharing their highlights. In fact, you'll find that I most likely will be highly critical of them. And there is no exception for today's video. Now, I know that many of you have asked me to look into the organization Autism Speaks, and I will admit, I didn't know that much about them. I have an assumption that they work to do something with autism, but I wasn't quite sure exactly what it was. So I started to look into it, and I started to read things, and well, not much of it was good. As much as I dislike MLMs and how they target the weak and vulnerable, I dislike charities and nonprofits that parade themselves as helpful when in fact they are hurtful to the very causes they claim to stand up for. And well, since many of you brought this to my attention, here we are, taking a look at a company that claims to increase the understanding and acceptance of those on the spectrum, all while belittling those with it and sharing some rather dangerous mindsets. The bigger and more important question here is, can you actually give Autism Speaks your donations in good conscience?
No.
Let's find out in today's video.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Hello everybody,
Okay.
Someone on Tumblr the other day asked me what I thought of the organization Autism Speaks. Being someone on the autism spectrum, they wanted to know if I had any special insight on the matter. For those who don't know, I am on the autism spectrum. I could use this time to talk about what it's like to live on the spectrum, but I really want to stay on topic. I find this topic a little bit more important. I'm sure certain aspects of it will come up here and there, but that's not the priority. Also, I thought that today's topic would best be done in the flesh, and it might get very heated. So you'll actually get to see what making my reviews actually looks like in reality. That should be fun. Hopefully I don't embarrass myself. Well, people always told me to talk about something that's actually important, so let's do it. What I'm going to say about certain topics today may get into the areas of legitimate controversy. Not about the organization Autism Speaks. Most people in the autistic community, from my experience, have the same opinion on Autism Speaks, so you'll have to bear with me. But to put it simply, I do not like this organization, and I don't support what they do. They harm the lives of autistic people much more than they help, and we're going to be talking about quite a few of their controversies. In fact, they've done so much since 2005, the year that they were founded. I really don't know where to start. But let's just start with their biggest and probably one of their main problems. Their rhetoric. Autism Speaks, as an organization, literally views autism as a disease that must be cured or eliminated, in more ways than one. Let me start with an undisputable fact. Autism is not a disease. It's a neurological condition. You cannot catch autism any more than you can catch Tourette syndrome. You cannot cure it either. Autism affects how the brain develops. To cure a case of autism, you need to go back in time and get into an individual's brain and make it develop differently. Actually, that isn't half of the direction that Autism Speaks approaches this issue. We're going to be taking a look at the particular message they spread, and by doing that, we're going to riff a commercial by them where they talk about autism like it's AIDS. I'm not even kidding. Internet trolls using autistic as an insult aren't as insulting to autistic people as this commercial trying to spread awareness about autism is. Hell, this commercial makes autistic people look worse than, I don't know, Chris Chan does. I'm not even kidding. I know I say extreme things sometimes, but this is not the time to be hyperbolic. This is the time to be very, very serious. True, the organization has kind of distanced themselves from this particular commercial, but it's pretty much their rhetoric boiled down to its essence. And it's made by the guy who made the third Harry Potter movie, so how bad can it be? I'm warning you that this is one of the most viscerally disgusting things that I've seen in a very long time. And the fact that it was made to spread a message and not to entertain puts it on a whole other level. I'm just going to say that this is not for the faint of heart. It's something that's very easy to get offended by, especially if this commercial affects you in any way personally. Let's begin. So, it starts out with what sounds like the Mayhem guy from the Allstate commercials talking over some home movies that he probably found on the street or stole from somebody's home.
I am autism. I'm visible in your children, but if I can help it, I am invisible to you until it's too late.
Alright, let's start with the obvious. You can replace autism here with, like, STD. And the commercial will largely be the same. No, that doesn't even begin to describe how offensive this commercial can be.
It's interesting.
If you want to know how offensive...
It's interesting I make that same comparison by plugging in the word cancer or what have you.
So this commercial is to me personally, replace autism with homosexuality, and go from there. But back to the commercial itself. What does too late mean? Autism doesn't kill people. That was never really under dispute. I mean, autism doesn't kill people directly. Caretakers killing autistic people or other people with unusual neurological conditions is a very real problem. And most of them get off scot-free because they couldn't handle the pressure. I'd maybe cut this some slack if that's the message it was trying to send, but honestly, it seems to be trying to make those statistics more justified.
I know where you live. And guess what? I live there too.
Yay, propaganda! Everyone, let's all be paranoid together!
I hover around all of you. I know no color barrier, no religion, no morality, no currency.
While you have footage of only white, seemingly lower middle class kids in the United States, that's just a failure of editing. You're the biggest autism organization in the world. You gotta be able to get more footage than just this. But back on point, that hover around you line mystifies me. Are they really trying to say that autism is like a bird of prey? What that line usually means in propaganda films, and can strike at any time.
Yeah.
Once again, that's not how autism works. And once again, you think that the world's biggest autism-focused charity would know this. And before you said I'm picking on a charity, PETA is a charity.
I speak your language fluently, and with every voice I take away, I acquire yet another language.
Okay, the biggest autism-focused charity in the world doesn't know anything about autism. At all. I am autism and I speak your language fluently. Hey, dipshit. One of the biggest difficulties autistic people face is being able to communicate properly, even with their own families.
I work very quickly. I work faster than pediatric AIDS, cancer, and diabetes combined.
Yeah. That's me.
Can I see your sources, please? Like, what the actual fuck? Autism works faster than pediatric diabetes, AIDS, and cancer combined. To do what? Oh, I'm not thinking about this from the right viewpoint. That's right. They're talking to parents who are paranoid that they aren't going to give birth to the most perfect children in the world. If your child has diabetes, AIDS, or cancer, it'll ruin your life completely. But if they have autism, it's going to ruin your life even faster. Never mind the child, it's going to ruin your fucking life. I don't even know what to say. This is just awful on every level.
And it's still framed that way. That's the problem. If you go to the website today, It is still framed from like the parent's perspective and framed as if it is a disease. And the website is still not really autism friendly at all. I don't think.
And yes, I know that it's a homage to, like, a 50s ad about polio or something. That doesn't make this any less disgusting.
And if you are happily married, I will make sure that your marriage fails.
Oh, fuck off! If the stress of having an autistic child, not a severely autistic child, just any autistic child, puts too much restraint on your marriage, then it couldn't have been much of a happy marriage to begin with, now could it? No, what I want you to think is that every case of autism is the most severe thing ever, and everyone who has it can't perform the basic necessities of life.
It's so true,
like
though.
Eating on their own, or even talking sensically. Also, I'd love to mention that most of the kids in the video aren't doing anything out of the ordinary, but just sitting around. I thought I saw a couple of kids stimming, but that's about it. Then again, I should be thankful that they didn't show everyone running around like wild animals, as par for the course for Autism Speaks commercials.
Your money will fall into my hands, and I will bankrupt you for my own self-gain.
Hey, you want to remember that line for me? We'll talk about what Autism Speaks uses their money on later, but remember that Autism Speaks is supposedly a charity that's supposed to help out the lives of autistic people, and they're claiming how autism will bankrupt you. Said by a charity. Supposed to help people.
This guy's doing a great job, I think. I think he's doing a wonderful job.
In this condition. Beyond the fact that you can get financial help from the government in the United States where Autism Speaks is located, I don't think this is something that they want to be saying. On any level.
I don't sleep, so I make sure you don't either.
No, insomnia is not a side effect of autism. Oh, that's right. You're trying to make us think that any and all autistic people could kill themselves at any point by accident if they're not constantly supervised. I forgot. Carry on with your disgusting propaganda piece.
I will make it virtually impossible for your family to easily attend a temple, a birthday party, a public park, without a struggle, without embarrassment, without pain.
Unless they're the shy loner
You won't be able to have any kind of social life ever again.
Type, like a large chunk of autistic people, because they've given up trying to express themselves because of the messages spread by hateful organizations like this. God, I cannot imagine what I would think if I was a kid seeing this, or if I was the parent of any autistic child.
You have no cure for me.
No, the proper cure for propaganda is making yourself knowledgeable about an issue, ignoring sources that have proven themselves untrustworthy.
Your scientists don't have the resources, and I relish their desperation.
Once again, unless you can invent a time machine and some brain ray that changes a brain's development, it cannot be cured.
Your neighbors are happier to pretend that I don't exist.
Well then, my neighbors are assholes. Then again, I like to pretend that they don't exist either. So, I don't really give a shit. No one cares about their neighbors anymore. Everyone's too involved in their own lives.
Of course, until it's their child.
Once again, replace autism with homosexuality, and you could see the message for what it really is. And yes, I know that autism and homosexuality are two very different things. But both of them have been seen as a disease when they weren't, and that caused many, many problems, and many prejudices. I'm not saying that this kind of propaganda is going to lead to something like reform camps, God, I hope not, but it's still wrong across the board.
I am autism. I have no interest in right or wrong.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. The footage does have a very, very cruel purpose. It's trying to conflate autism and autistic children into the same term. I say autistic children because Autism Speaks pretends that adults with autism do not exist. They do. And they can go on to lead very successful lives. Like, I don't know, the creator of Pokemon?
I derive great pleasure out of your loneliness.
Yep, it's just you and your little case of autism, because a person with autism cannot express affection or like to spend time with you. They're dehumanizing people with autism and just boiling them down to their condition.
I will fight to take away your hope. I will plot to rob you of your children and your dreams.
Once again, autism isn't fatal. Oh, wait, parents whose dreams rely on them having an absolutely perfect child.
I will make sure that every day you wake up, you will cry, wondering who will take care of my child after I die.
That very thought process has been used to justify the murder of autistic children, or any child with mental illness. A parent couldn't take the pressure because they didn't have access to the help or resources they needed, and so they decided to commit suicide. Because they couldn't imagine someone else taking care of their autistic child as well as they did, it became a murder-suicide. If the parent doesn't take themselves with their child, it's highly likely that they'll get a less severe punishment and may not even see jail time at all. They just snapped under the stress. And with the way Autism speaks about autism, It almost seems like they're trying to make it justified.
And the truth is, I'm still winning, and you are scared. And you should be.
Personally, it's very beneficial to what I do. Let me explain. Yes, when I was a kid, I was bullied for being shy and awkward. When I got the therapy that I needed, I was able to come out of my shell, and the positive aspects of my condition showed themselves better. Visualization is incredibly easy for me. Right now, I'm reading off a script and watching basically this commercial in my head and reacting to it. I can literally watch a television show I had already seen just by thinking about it. My reviews might not be possible without that, and I can guarantee you they would not be as good, or at least as accurate. And on another level, I can visualize the stories that I'm writing and capture all of the details. Not to mention, my recent errors of animation was a symptom of my current special interest. Many people with autism develop special interests that they're into that could be a borderline obsessive. Does being on the spectrum cause me issues? Of course it does. But for me at least, the positives outweigh the negatives. And yes, I understand that some people are more severely autistic, and the benefits are very unlikely to be seen. There's not much I can say to argue that. But the only thing I really can do is state that Autism Speaks is not interested in helping those who need it the most. They just want you to think that all autistics are in that category.
I am autism. You ignored me. That was a mistake.
I think you're missing a word there. If you meant to say, I am Autism Speaks, you ignored me, that was a mistake, then you'd be correct. Imagine if you have never heard of autism before. By watching this commercial and seeing how it's worded, you might actually end up believing that autism is just something that an 8 or 9-year-old can catch out of the blue, and their lives will be absolutely destroyed by it. Maybe. They never actually describe what it does. That's not how autism works. Oh, and by the way, even the person most affected by autism in the world, in that they are a person who actually has it, it is never their entire person. I cannot stress this enough. You cannot boil anyone down to their condition. I can go on to their other works, like their Autism Everyday one, where a staff member contemplated driving off a bridge with her autistic daughter, right in front of...
Okay, I would say that autism is who I am. It is my person, but I think what he's saying is that we're just human beings, and that autism is just part of us being a human being. My brain is who I am and what I am and how I think and everything else, but I'm just a human being. And I think that's where he was trying to go there.
Of said daughter. There are various versions of this video, and not all of them have it. There's a 7-minute one, a 13-minute one, and a 43-minute one. And yes, many staff and board members seem to be made up of people either A, grubbing for sympathy, or B, parents thinking their children are broken.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily,
Absolutely.
Autism Speaks makes a lot of money off their fear-mongering and dehumanizing. Autism Speaks makes a lot of money off their fear-mongering and dehumanizing. But apparently, only 3% of it goes to helping actually currently living autistic people. What they're most interested in is coming up with a prenatal test to determine if a person is going to develop autism. Not entirely sure if that's possible. What part of developmental don't these guys seem to understand? Even if they invent that, it will not help the lives of currently living autistic people, which they are claiming to do. Even if they're treating it as a disease. Getting a prenatal test won't cure it. They poured a lot of time and research into the claim that autism was caused by vaccines. Said person who claimed that was barred from practicing medicine for their entire lives. And I'll steer away from that because that's a whole other argument. On top of other things, Autism Speaks has threatened to sue parodies of them. And you know how much I love companies that do that.
The reason he was no longer permitted to practice medicine is, one, they know he intentionally made false reports. 2, he published it without it being peer-reviewed, and it was wrong. And it was wrong, and he knew it was wrong. So, unfortunately, it's had a horrible impact on the entire disabled community, really.
You could be curing cancer, and suing a parody of you will always make you look bad. One of the people they threatened to sue was a guy who made t-shirts saying, Autism Speaks can go away. I have autism, I can speak for myself. As Autism Speaks claimed trademark. The other person they threatened to sue was a 14-year-old autistic girl who made a parody blog. Autism Speaks claims to speak for autism, and yet they have no autistic employees or board members with autism. If you don't at least consult people with the condition that you claim to be speaking for, you are at best condescending to them. At worst, you're dehumanizing them. I don't know if this organization is the reason that autistic is used as an insult, like gay or retarded used to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were. I know this is different than what I usually do, but I felt that I had to speak on this matter. You know what? I think I'm going to make a very special review.
A single thread in a tapestry, though its color brightly shine.
Okay. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Hey, you know, this time of year, we all keep getting pinged with political fundraising asks. But here's the thing.
Okay, this is Bob Wright, and he was the CEO of NBC, and he's going to be well, and get this, I guarantee you, I haven't seen this. This is the first time I've ever seen this, but I guarantee you, he will be talking instead of autistic people. And he's going to be talking about Autism Speaks here.
We are back now with a longtime friend of this show, our former boss, Bob Wright. He served as president and CEO of NBC. He also co-founded Autism Speaks in an effort to help families like his own dealing with
Co-founder of Home Depot is what he's mostly known for.
An autism diagnosis. Bob reflects on it all in his new book called The Right Stuff. Bob, welcome back to the building. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Matt. It's terrific to be back. It's just great to be here. I think one of the last times I was here, we had Milton Berle and Sid Caesar arguing.
I remember that fondly. You know, you've done so much and did so much at NBC, and yet when I read portions of this book, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that what you seem to be the proudest of is the work you've done post-NBC.
Well, that was something we did not intend to do. That came to us, autism. That came to us, and it was something that we made a determination that we would tackle it. And I had a lot of help from Bernie Marcus, Phil Geyer, Mel Karmazan, Andrew Robertson.
Right.
Really fine.
Okay, no, this isn't the guy from. This is not the guy from Home Depot. The guy from Home Depot gave $25 million to him. And Suzanne, I think, is his wife, Suzanne Wright. They started Autism Speaks because their grandson.
People that said, "Okay, we'll put this together and we'll really work hard on it."
Let's make sure people understand when your grandson was diagnosed Christian.
He was 2.5.
Right, and there really wasn't a place to turn back then. People weren't talking about autism the way they talk about it today. Partly they talk about it today because of the work you've done. Where did you know how to turn?
Well, that was exactly why we did it. We couldn't believe it. The diagnosis took like 3 or 4 days at Columbia, and I was on the board, and it cost me $12,000. And they said, you know, I'm sorry, we really, we don't treat autism. We don't have any tools, and we don't have, quite frankly, any reimbursement from insurance. So you really can't get treated here. You have to go out and find therapists and
You're on your own, basically, is what they were saying.
You're on your own.
I've known you for a long time, Bob. I've also known your wife, Suzanne, for a very long time. You call her your North Star.
Right.
And can you describe, I remember when Christian was diagnosed, Suzanne went on a mission. And I mean that in the best possible way. What did having someone like her in those early days mean to this effort?
Oh, it was critical.
Now, note this doesn't have anything to do with autistic people.
Couldn't have done it without her. She was the empathy, the face, the passion face, and went out and did all of the work with Andrew Robertson and BBD&O to all of this, create this enormous amount of media about autism. And she was the one that went to the schools, and she was the one that went to a lot of people to really encourage them to get involved.
Please help me with this controversy that's come up again in the last couple of days about autism and childhood vaccines. There's a film out now. One of the people behind it is Dr. Andrew Wakefield, who's been widely discredited by scientific studies, but it has people asking the question again, do childhood vaccines cause autism? As a man who's done so much in the effort to educate people, what's the definitive answer?
There is no definitive answer, but we have not been able to determine that autism is caused by vaccines. However, there are lots of issues having to do with the vaccine safety program that I got into very deeply with no agenda early on in autism. And we proposed, along with a series of doctors, some changes that could be made. If vaccine safety, it's a passive program, and if you made it an active program, I think that would make it better for everybody. But as far as the, there's no direct tie to autism, but there is $100 million a year that the vaccine court pays out to people from damages with vaccines, not specifically autism, but a lot of them. So there's always going to be an issue with vaccines because all vaccines are the same and all people receiving them are different.
You're sitting there trying
I
to
mentioned
lay the
Suzanne a second ago, your wife. In many ways, the book is a love letter to Suzanne, who is now battling cancer.
She has pancreatic cancer. October 29th was the worst day of my life. That's last October 2015, and she was diagnosed right here in New York with pancreatic cancer. And it's stage 4, as most of the diagnoses are. It's metastasized, and that gives you a lifespan without chemo of maybe 3 to 5 months, and maybe with chemo a year or so. So it's a terribly difficult thing, and I'm now pouring myself.
That was 8 years ago. She did not. She has passed at least since then.
Here we are on the plane, getting ready to go to LA, and then from there we're going to go to Phoenix for Autism Speaks event. Stay tuned. We made it to LA. Now we're headed to Phoenix.
Morning, everybody, in Mesa, Arizona, at another Autism Speaks event. I'm looking forward to it.
I went to bed with a younger man because of my husband's ED. This simple mix of ingredients is capable of making his staff stay hard for longer. And
this is Autism Speaks, so that money, yeah, just don't. Hi, this is Lucia of Lucia's Neurodivergent Life, previously known as The Life of an Aspie, and today we're going to be reacting to a video by Autism Speaks called Light It Up Blue, or why do you #Light It Up Blue.
4 years ago.
It's only about 27 seconds long, but let's have a look.
So, of course, we have that white screen.
I wear blue because I advocate for those who don't have a voice, and also for my community. Wear blue, unable to.
Okay, and that's it. So, a couple issues right off the bat. I mean, first, it looks probably to most people like a harmless video that's like happy and positive, which is
but they're trying to make sure that he looks autistic.
Probably what Autism Speaks, wants to put out there. The first thing that I noticed is right here. It says for people with autism. So most people, for some reason, specifically a lot of non-autistic people, assume that people with autism is more politically correct than saying autistic or autistic person. Mm-hmm. Majority of autistic people prefer being called autistic people, which is identity first language instead of person first language. There are some people on the spectrum who prefer person first language. So if they tell you they want to be called a person with autism, then, you know, by all means, definitely respect that. Everyone's got their own preference. Best thing is to ask each person, you know, what do you want me to call you? But yeah, overall, majority of autistic people do prefer the term autistic because people with autism kind of implies that autism is something that is separate from you. It kind of buys into the idea that autism is something that can be removed or...
The thing is Autism Speaks has a hard time being honest, and they won't address that.
Cured or overcome, which is not true because autism is a neurotype. It's sort of like having, it's like your operating system. Everyone's got a different operating system. That doesn't mean that, you know, yours is bad just because it's different. It's like saying that neurotypical people are Apple or Mac operating systems, while autistic people are Windows operating systems. But just because we're in the minority doesn't mean that we're invalid. So yeah, that was my first gripe with this. This light is bothering me. I have sensory issues, okay?
It's so hard. It is so hard because, like, I've got lights all over the place right now, and I hate it. If not, you just look like a ghost on camera. The camera's got to have so much light.
Other than that, I mean, obviously this is for the Light It Up Blue campaign for Autism Speaks, which in and of itself is problematic. I don't want to get into why... I mean, I can explain why Light It Up Blue is problematic. It's because it's tied to Autism Speaks, but then I'd have to explain why Autism Speaks is problematic, and there's already lots of videos out there on the topic. You'll probably see one suggested in this video somewhere. Something might pop up, or check the description to explain why a majority of autistic people don't support Autism Speaks. There's a lot of problematic things with it. So Light It Up Blue is just drawing more attention to this problematic organization. Also, what he says here also worried me a little bit.
I wear blue because I advocate for those who don't have a voice, and also for...
So he says he advocates for those who don't have a voice, which on the surface to most people probably seems like a noble endeavor. You know, you gotta help people who can't help themselves and things like that. The problem is it kind of insinuates that autistic people can't communicate or advocate for themselves, which is totally untrue. There are a lot of autistic people who are nonverbal, so maybe that's what they're thinking of when they think autistic people don't have a voice.
We as a people do not have a voice. People speak for us or instead of us, and Autism Speaks is the worst about speaking instead of us.
But that doesn't mean they don't communicate. There are lots of ways to communicate. A lot of nonverbal people or people who struggle with verbal speech might use communication boards, AAC, sign language. There are all kinds of other ways to communicate, and they're all equally valid. And a lot of us are verbal. I'm verbal, and I'm autistic. There are autistics who are hyperverbal as well. I'm probably one of them, but the difference is we just communicate differently, and we might communicate on our own terms. And yeah, so I think it's problematic to assume that autistic people can't advocate for ourselves or can't communicate, because we do all the time. We just might get pushed aside or misunderstood, not just in everyday life, but also with autistic self-advocacy, like on the internet. Autism Speaks gets the majority of the spotlight, and they are mostly run by non-autistic people. And on the other hand, there are a lot of autistic-run organizations and pages and blogs that they are nowadays, thankfully, they are getting more views, but overall they need a lot more exposure. And so one of the best things that you can do for April, for Autism Awareness Month, personally I prefer Autism Acceptance Month, but it does help for people to be aware at least of other organizations that are run by autistic people that do good for autistic people, like tangible things that we actually need, tangible societal changes that we need, promoting a more humanizing view of autism instead of like a list of symptoms or like the medical model view of autism, which Autism Speaks very strongly seems to use. I noticed that there's another video which has a similar title, Why Do You Light It Up Blue? And I haven't checked that one out yet, so I'm gonna take a look.
How to open your car door while submerged underwater. A fatal construction flaw in all recent automobiles makes it virtually impossible to escape the car after crashing into water. This ingenious innovation elevates your odds of survival to an
because it might be infantilizing to a large extent.
Okay, other than the obnoxious, repeated clapping thing, which seemed to be on a loop the entire time, one thing that I did notice, something that's a positive, is they include people of color, and that's great, because it's showing that it's not just, you know, like, young white boys who are autistic. So it looks like their intention was to show support for family members on the spectrum, which is not inherently a bad thing. One thing I should mention, though, Autism Speaks tends to target parents of autistic children. So, like, you'll hear a lot of parents saying very positive things about Autism Speaks, but not so much from autistic people themselves, unless you go and you ask autistic people, and then 98% of the time, they're probably going to tell you they don't like Autism Speaks. Probably depends on what community you're in, honestly. I know there are some autistics who like Autism Speaks.
But it's rare.
I haven't met very many of them. Oh, one other positive thing. This guy's dance is dope. Loving the dance. I mean, I like that they're all, like, happy and stuff. It's, like, it's annoying, because it's, like, it's such a, like, happy and positive video, and yet it's just an organization that's just, This is Autism Speaks, so all that money, yeah, I don't have much else to say other than that. And there is an annoying repetitive, okay, I won't torture my ears anymore with that, but you can help by sharing other autistic advocates online. There are also some organizations run by autistic people that are, in my opinion, a much better alternative to Autism Speaks. Also, this is the opinions of a lot of other autistic people I know. Autistic Self-Advocacy Network and Autism Women and Non-Binary Network. They are doing a lot of good. They are run by autistic people, autistic approved.
And I keep hearing good things about the autism. I think it might have a different name. Autism Women's Network. I keep on hearing good things about it.
They're so great. Check them out. Put some links in the description. I'm also part of a group of autistic gamers who stream every month. We do this event called the Autistic Gaming Initiative, and our live streams are for raising money for those two organizations specifically. So you could check out the Autistic Gaming Initiative, watch some of our streams, share our streams, share our events.
Okay, I am going to take a quick mark.
We just live in the moment, in the moment.
To be free and flexible and creative was really
Okay, I don't know this one.
Warning, the following video that you're about to watch is owned by one.
Okay, I am gonna take a quick break. I'm gonna let this run. I will be listening.
19 and is intended for mature audiences only. And even though my videos cover animation, it is told from an adult's perspective and may contain foul language. If this video is uploaded on another YouTube channel, any video, whether it be a small clip or any of my reviews, it will be flagged down by me if I see it without my permission. Thank you. You may now enjoy the show. Hey guys, One Mikey 19 here, and as many of you know, April is Autism Awareness Month, and today I'm going to be going over a company that many people in the autism spectrum, including myself, despise. I'm of course talking about Autism Speaks. I've been wanting to talk about this company for a very, very long time, and now it's my chance. For those of you who aren't aware of Autism Speaks, it's an organization that's supposed to help people who have autism or are on the autism spectrum. Did you know that only 3% of that money people donate to this organization goes to people who have autism or are on the spectrum? A lot of the money goes to prenatal tests to cure autism and the spectrum. Oh boy, where the fuck do I begin? First of all, I want to say that no, you can't cure autism. It's not something you can catch. It's a disability. You can't catch something like that. To think that someone can do so is ridiculous. It's like people saying that you can catch homosexuality, which isn't true. Homosexuality isn't a disease, and neither is autism. I like to bring up the fact that a mother wanted to drive up a cliff or something with her 7-year-old autistic daughter right in front of her. You know what the reason is? Oh, I can't handle the stress of raising a child who has autism or any kind of mental disability. No, no, no. If you didn't want to deal with the stress of raising a child who has a disability out of no fault of their own, here's an option. Don't have kids. Simple as that. Don't have kids. Having a child that has a disability isn't a curse. You make it seem like it is, even though it's not your child's fault. A disability is never the child's fault. Some environmental things can come into play, but it's not their fault, especially when it's a mental disability like autism or Asperger's syndrome. See, when I was growing up, doctors have tried to diagnose me with autism because I really didn't want to talk to people when I was a kid. Another one tried to diagnose me with Asperger's because of the fact that I really like certain things and that I don't like talking to people I don't want to talk to. Now, this is in no way saying that having autism or Asperger's is bad. No, not at all. Having autism or Asperger's can be very beneficial in life. People who have autism or Asperger's have done a lot of amazing things. Look at Tim Burton, for example. He's a very successful movie director, and his art style is something that everyone can recognize because of how weird and unusual it is. I'm not sure if he actually has Asperger's or whatever, but from what I found, it's a possibility. Satoshi
As far as Tim Burton, it's never been actually said. I think his ex-wife said that she thought he was autistic. I would not be surprised if both Johnny Depp and Tim Burton are both autistic. Wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Kiri. He created a brand name everyone knows, and that's Pokemon. There are people who have broken out of their shells because of things that they like. There is a person who learned how to socialize with other people because of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. It's not a bad thing like people make it out to be, and it's especially not something to be cured like Autism Speaks thinks it can. Newsflash, they can't. Sure, having a disability of any...
Notice this nice white, this nice white background here. That they have. You would think that Autism Speaks. By the way, thank you, Autism Speaks, my most faithful viewers. You would think that Autism Speaks would know that autistic people are light sensitive.
Any kind can affect the way you interact with people, but a disability doesn't define who you are as a person. It's not going to ruin your parents' marriage or your own if you decide to get married. If you actually think a disability like autism is worthy of ruining a marriage, then you're a moron. This is where a lot of people... there are many
I gotta be careful here.
That
Holy hell.
What you may find isn't for the faint of heart. Don't buy into the propaganda. Disgusting. And there are many...
He's using strong words like I do, so I gotta move right along. We can go to... Okay, shall we go to... if certain things are said on TikTok, then I just got off a ban because I said certain things about Autism Speaks. I was doing an analysis and I got banned for a week or whatever. Here's the famous I am autism commercial.
I'm visible in your children, but if I can help it, I am invisible to you until it's too late. I know where you live, and guess what? I live there too. I hover around all of you. I know no color barrier, no religion, no morality, no currency. I speak your language fluently, and with every voice I take away, I acquire yet another language. I work very quickly. I work faster than pediatric AIDS, cancer, and diabetes combined. And if you are happily married, I will make sure that your marriage fails. Your money will fall into my hands, and I will bankrupt you for my own self-gain. I don't sleep, so I make sure you don't either. I will...
This is how they're portraying autistic people.
Make it virtually impossible for your family to easily attend a temple, a birthday party, a public park, without a struggle, without embarrassment, without pain. You have no cure for me. Your scientists don't...
We're an embarrassment. We're a pain.
...have the resources, and I relish their desperation. Your neighbors are happier to pretend that I don't exist. Of course, until it's their child. I am autism. I have no interest in right or wrong. I derive great pleasure out of your loneliness. I will fight to take away your hope. I will plot to rob you of your children and your dreams. I will make sure that every day you wake up, you will cry, wondering who will take care of my child after I die. And the truth is, I am still winning, and you are scared. And you should be. I am autism. You ignored me. That was a mistake.
And to autism I say,
I am a father,
a mother, a grandparent,
brother,
a sister.
We will spend every waking hour trying to weaken you.
We don't need sleep because we will not rest until you do.
Family can be much stronger than autism ever anticipated, and we will not be intimidated by you, nor will the love and strength of my community.
I am a parent riding towards you, and you can push me off this horse time and time again, but I will get up, climb back on, and ride on with the message.
Autism, you forget who we are. You forget who you are dealing with. You forget the spirit of mothers and daughters and fathers and sons.
We are
the United Kingdom.
United States.
We are Argentina.
We are Russia.
We are the European Union.
We are the United Nations.
We are coming together in all climates.
We call on all faiths. We search with technology
and voodoo,
prayer and
herbs, genetic studies,
and a growing awareness you never anticipated.
We have had challenges, but we are the best when overcoming them.
We speak the only language that matters, love for our children.
Our capacity to love is greater than your capacity to overwhelm.
Autism is naive.
You are alone. We are a community of warriors.
We have a voice.
You think because some of our children cannot speak, we cannot hear them? That is autism's weakness.
You think that because my child lives behind a wall, I am afraid to knock it down with my bare hands?
You have not properly been introduced to this community of parents and grandparents, of siblings and friends, and school teachers, therapists,
to say anything about the community.
pediatricians, and scientists.
Autism, if you are not scared, you should be.
When you came for my child, you forgot.
You came for me.
Autism, are you listening?
Yes, that's the great I Am Autism commercial. They were so proud of that. Until, well... okay, let's see. This is going to be interesting. I don't know what this is. Never seen it.
On October 19th, 2023, Wells Fargo warned its clients that...
Nah, not the commercial. So I right here on YouTube I have some videos that are titled in such a way that you would understand why they got me kicked off YouTube or kicked off of TikTok.
Now that
I
I've
mentioned
gone
the
over
wrong
some
thing.
of the history of the good autistic advocacy organizations, let's move to the bad ones. The autism charities and advocacy organizations that do more harm than good. The sad part about researching these organizations is that they're all still going. With the good organizations, only 2 of the 5 are still operating. Yes, there are still many, but it's just kind of sad that, like, some of the ones that started it all are just gone. It's kind of depressing that the organizations that harm autistics are more likely to survive than the ones that actually do good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
on that note, for most people, you're going to find that this is a fairly common thing, that when it comes to organizations that would directly impact or harm a marginalized group, it's much easier for the ones who would do that harm to remain funded because their narratives more typically are comforting and more easily digestible by those exact same people who meet the status quo.
Fear-mongering makes more money.
Who are currently in positions where, oh, that narrative makes me feel so much better about everything, and I know how to deal with that one because it fits what I already believe and it fits the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you're going to see a lot of these organizations coming across because it already fits with the preconceived ideas that are held by society that they're pushing and reinforcing.
Right.
So, as crappy as it is, that is one of the major contexts for how organizations like that can continue. Sorry, just had to cut in with that.
I'll just add that it's a lot easier to get funding through fear. And these organizations
Exactly,
do
fear-mongering.
enjoy
It's sales.
So, let's start with one of the oldest autism organizations, the Autism Society. I talked about them a bit
I don't
in my
know about those
live
that
stream
much.
Autistic, and I'm just like, gosh, it's almost like it's genetic or something, saying that autism was treatable. Not the other way around. It's treatable, end quote. A proper diet. Studied any chance of
See, I don't know if she's going to talk about Autism Speaks or
probably the
not.
most known, and that's Autism Speaks.
Oh, there we go.
The reason I didn't talk about them first is because I'm going through these in chronological order of their founding. Autism Speaks was founded in 2005 by Bob and Suzanne Wright, who were very wrong in their views of autism. Sorry, I love puns. Anyways, also I want to lighten the air a little. Autism Speaks was able to start off strong because Bob Wright wasn't just rich, but he was influential. When he co-founded Autism Speaks, he was the CEO of NBC Universal, which owns the movie studio Universal Pictures, as well as NBC, CNBC, and MSNBC. The blue puzzle piece logo was designed by Suzanne to symbolize, as she explained, how adrift and disconnected autism patients and their families could feel. And she always called autistic people autism patients. Bob and Suzanne decided to start Autism Speaks when their grandson was diagnosed as autistic.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine that? Being an autistic person and having your grandparents be the founders of Autism Speaks.
That would be such a
That
shame.
poor guy.
I know.
From the beginning,
Actually, to tell you the truth, he's probably grown up in the whole cult and everything else, so he probably thinks it's great.
promoted from the beginning, they promoted treatments and cures. They were able to spread fear and misinformation thanks to their wealth and connections. It's because of their wealth and connections that they've been able to become the most well-known autism charity. They were able to make short films, TV ads, and plenty of promotional material. It didn't take long for them to become the giant we know today.
No, it did not, because they got 25 million from Home Depot to start with.
Is the National Council on Severe Autism. You can already tell with their name alone that there's a problem.
Yeah.
It was founded in 2018 by 4 people, one of whom is Allison Singer.
That
who
sounds
was
familiar.
in Autism Speaks short film Autism Every Day, where she claimed that there were days she contemplated driving off of a bridge with her autistic child inside the car.
Yeah,
She also founded the Autism Science Foundation, which funds cures and treatment for autism, like ABA. The NCSA calls autism acceptance a hoax because they say it's only for high-functioning and successful autistics. On their website, they say that autism acceptance is only for, and I quote, the 6-year-old regional chess champion, the 10-year-old science fair winner, and the tech wizard in Silicon Valley.
Okay.
As a high school and college dropout who's never been able to hold down a job, I think I can say that that's not the case. They claim that the diagnostic label of autistic has gotten too broad, and that thanks to the hashtag actual autistic crowd,
That would be
TV
me.
and movies are skewing the view of
I didn't start that or anything, but yeah, I'm in that crowd.
autism as maximum achievers who are indistinguishable from neurotypicals. And all I can say to that is, did you
Bullshit.
see music? Because I did. There are no autistic people on their board, but are still willing to call autism acceptance a hoax, like they know what they're talking about. Apparently, autistics wanting to be accepted is a bad thing to them.
Very interesting. Okay.
As we see it, and oh boy, do I got some vicious mockery for this show. The show is about 3 autistic roommates trying to live their normal lives day by day and trying to be normal. Jeez, never heard that plot line before. Oh wait. Moving on. As we see, it is actually based on an Israeli TV show called On the Spectrum, which surprises me, and I want to watch it, but I don't know where it is. So if there's anybody out there who's seen it and
Israel,
know what's about, if it's good or not, let me know, because I would like to watch it, because, you know, it's always cool to see, like, Autism POC rep up in here. And not like all those other shows that just only have those cis, straight, white boys you see on every ABC specials. You know the ones I'm talking about. The show was created by Jason Kitmus, who you may know created the same shows as Friday Night Lights and Parenthood. He said he wanted to make more positive representations of autism for his son, who is also on the spectrum. Which, honestly, it's kind of dope, right? Yeah, that's pretty dope. But wait! We got some corn in this crap. While asking other autistics for feedback on his script, he also asked Autism Speaks for feedback on his show of autistic adults. And that is what we call a giant red flag. Yeah, you heard me. You got feedback from Autism Speaks. The evil blue puzzle piece. Look, I gotta
hear this again.
Just only have those cis straight white boys you see on every ABC specials. You know the ones I'm talking about. The show was created by Jason Kitmus, who you may know created the same shows as Friday Night Lights and Parenthood. He said he wanted to make more positive representations of autism for his son, who is also on the spectrum. Which, honestly, it's kind of dope, right? Yeah, that's pretty dope. But wait! We got some corn in this crap. While asking other autistics for feedback on his script, he also asked Autism Speaks for feedback on his show of autistic adults. And that is what we call a giant red flag.
Yes.
Yeah, you heard me. You got feedback from Autism Speaks. The evil blue puzzle piece. Look, I don't got time to talk about a whole tangent about Autism Speaks. That's gonna be for another video. Just for now, do a quick Google search and just ask any autistic why Autism Speaks is bad. They will explain to you. So, that leads to the main topic. Is, as we see it, a good autistic show?
No.
No! It's not. Look, this show is super problematic, and the first episode was horrendous. Like, there are some huge autistic stereotypes in this show. You got the one autistic character who says everything so bluntly as an insult because, hey, I'm autistic and I don't have a filter with my mouth. You got the autistic characters talking about social interactions and info dumping all these step-by-step procedures that we should go on. Don't even get me started on the neurotypical savior that's in this show. That character. And here's my main issue with this show. It doesn't treat the autistic characters as people. No, it treats them like little babies. Not even like 4 or 5 year olds. It treats them like 1 month-old little baby. Which pisses me off even more because you have these actually autistic actors portraying these characters and they're just portraying all these stupid freaking stereotypes. It honestly makes me think that the only reason why studio hires autistic actors to portray autistic characters is so that they can project their own stereotype of how they think autistic people are. In summary, 0 stars, don't watch it.
All right, Cam, pull 6 inches.
Wow.
Shut up.
Interesting. Okay. Let's take a look at this one. I have not seen this one yet.
Today is a very important day for a variety of reasons. For me, it's important because it's World Autism Awareness Day.
This is a day to highlight the need to support and improve the quality of life for those on the autism spectrum. But there's always a bit of a dark shadow on World Autism Awareness Day, and that is the organization commonly known as Autism Speaks. So that, my friends, is what we're going to be talking about today. Just to let you guys know, this video is going to be sponsored by my Etsy store, so the details for that are down in the description below. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Alex, and I illustrate stuff and give my opinion on certain topics. And today I'm going to be talking about a topic near and dear to my heart. To start this conversation, I'm just going to get this out of the way. I have autism spectrum disorder. I've had it my whole life. I have a very happy family, great friends, and unbelievably supportive parents. I'm happy and I'm healthy. The reason I'm mentioning this is because it is relevant to what we are going to be talking about, and I am about to dive into a topic that's very upsetting to many people on the spectrum. So please be aware that the content within this video may be upsetting, and viewer discretion is advised. So we're going to start off with something very important to understand, and that is, what is autism spectrum disorder? So autism spectrum disorder is basically, it used to be called several things, and it encompasses a variety of conditions, including what used to be referred to as Asperger's syndrome and a series of other conditions. It's very important to know that all that autism really is that the brain functions differently than the
I agree.
brain of a neurotypical person. So perception
It is a different brain type, and she's doing very, very well.
Is different, social skills can be reduced, and oftentimes things like textures are very, very important to somebody with autism spectrum disorder. Like myself, I can't handle the texture of some food, so I can't eat it because it's not something I personally can tolerate. That's not inherently a bad thing. It impacts the perception of the world around me. Fundamentally, that's all it is. And it doesn't make somebody any less of a person, any less Autism Speaks is very controversial to a lot of people.
Okay.
And a lot of people on the spectrum actually say that Autism Speaks doesn't speak for them. I'm one of those people. I will, full disclosure here, I do not think Autism speaks for me or represents me in any way.
And I would agree.
And I'm about to get into the controversies, so just be aware there is going to be some discussion of what they have said about people on the spectrum and some of the beliefs that it's very obvious that they hold.
I need to be off camera for a second.
I understand if this is going to be challenging. Once again, at any point in this video, please feel free to click off. If you need a minute, that's absolutely fine.
Click off!
Be aware as we get into what we're going to get into. In
Click
2008,
off.
Autism Speaks made some content called Getting the Word Out. In their content, Getting the Word Out, they have such a bleak portrayal of what living with autism is like. They say that it's cold and lonely, and that we will grow up to be a lonely, miserable person. And this was viciously parodied by many people on the spectrum. There were actually so many posts, like blog posts at the time, making fun of the fact that this company, who did not have any members of the board that were, on the spectrum, was assuming what it was like to be us, and assuming that it was going to be cold, and that we weren't going to be happy, all of that. It's just not true. It is absolutely untrue for a lot of us, and it just doesn't make sense. So that's one issue. But then they doubled down, as it were. In 2009, they had a short film that was also kind of released as commercials called I Am Autism. And that offended so many people. It was filmed like a horror movie. I'm not even kidding. If you look it up,
absolutely.
It is awful. It is like a straight up horror movie narration.
You're darn right.
Some particularly interesting lines from this little short film they made was, if you are happily married, I will make sure that your marriage fails, and I will bankrupt you for my own self-gain. This is supposedly autism talking, saying how it will ruin a happy family, and that it will selfishly make you bankrupt. Now, I'm not sure if anybody else is aware of why that's so absolutely detrimental. But think about it this way. If you hear every day that you are worthless or broken, and then a group of people that's supposed to be fighting for you to have rights and representation and not be treated like garbage and not be seen as an outsider is telling you that you are the reason your parents are unhappy and you are the reason that they may be in debt, that's unbelievably damaging to the psyche of young people. It blames a disabled child for their family's financial and emotional issues. That would be absolutely devastating. It was. I remember when this video came out. I was about 14 years old at the time, and I was just entering high school. And I remember panicking and trying to desperately to talk to my parents about this. And thank God I have good parents, because they were so supportive, and I can't say that enough. But I went up to them crying, thinking that I was the reason that my family fights sometimes, and that I was the reason that, you know, they were losing money and they would be so much better off if I didn't have this, you know, condition. And it was so awful to have to go through that guilt. That's a charity that is supposed to be helping me is making me feel. It's so unbelievably unacceptable to blame a person with a medical condition.
Now, I have never ever heard a personal story like this before, where somebody has actually said that it happened to them. That's pretty amazing.
For their family's issues.
Let's listen to that again. I've never heard anything like this before.
That would be absolutely devastating. It was. I remember when this video came out. I was about 14 years old at the time, and I was just entering high school. And I remember panicking and trying to desperately to talk to my parents about this. And thank God I have good parents, because they were so supportive, and I can't say that enough. But I went up to them crying, thinking that I was the reason that my family fights sometimes, and that I was the reason that, you know, they were losing money and they would be so much better off if I didn't have this, you know, condition. And it was so awful to have to go through that guilt. That's a charity that is supposed to be helping me is making me feel. It's so unbelievably unacceptable to blame a person with a medical condition.
I just can't believe that. I mean, I've never heard anybody talk about personally, you know, being like that was a kid, and they saw that and they were upset. That's messed up.
For their family's issues. You don't do this with other conditions at all. You don't blame you don't blame the disabled person if their family is stressed out in any condition. But it's fine to do it to us, apparently. And it's worse that it's coming from an advocacy group, a supposed advocacy group for us.
Right.
I shouldn't have to say this, but...
Now, they say they speak for us, which we don't want them to. The problem is they speak instead of us.
People's disabilities aren't their fault, and guilting them is not going to make it better. You don't demonize people for things that are out of their control, and you do not demonize people for things that they are born with. It's not okay. And that is just one aspect of why they are a horrible company. But we're going to move on here to 2010. In 2010, that was the year that a co-founder of Autism Speaks, remember Bob that I told you about earlier? Bob, the man who has a grandson with autism? In 2010, Bob was quoted as saying, "It's possible autism is caused by vaccines," and he maintained